Happy New Year!
Oh, yes.
It's 2022 already. Gosh,
Exactly.
I'm super excited.
2022 is here in a grand style.
Yes, it
And,
is.
we want to say thank you for joining us, because this, of course, is another year we're starting in a grand style.
Yeah.
Never knew it was going to come this way, but of course it has come in a way that we didn't expect. When I mean the way we didn't expect, in such a way that a lot of people were thinking, oh, how am I going to survive the 2021? But with all that happened in 2021, here we are.
That's a beautiful one. Here we are, and I hope you're as excited as we are, because it's 2022. All right, welcome to iBrand New Year special, and we've got amazing things for you today. Reports. We're going to be talking about 2021. We'll be taking 2021 in retrospect. We're going to be looking at the things that happened in various sectors that shape the economy. Talk about the health sector, the political sector, talk about education, and talk about health. These are the things we will be reviewing on the show today, and that's because we're trying to chart a course for 2022. And so, I mean, you can go forward without first checking out what happened in the past. So yes, we're looking back in retrospect, and then we're also trying to chart a course for ourselves in this beautiful new year 2022. We're going to very quick time out, and when we return, we'll bring you the report and all the amazing and informative conversation. Stay right here. I am Perpetua Fasomi Peter.
And I am Frank Omalape. Thank you for joining us.
The year 2021 has seen Nigeria grapple with multiple concurrent disease outbreaks. According to the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage Hanire, Nigeria has been responding to an outbreak of cholera across states, an increasing number of Lassa fever cases, monkeypox case reported in the U.S. with travel history from Nigeria, as well as weekly reports of yellow fever and measles cases. This is blamed on Nigeria's tropical climate, population density, high number of international travels, and local movements, among others. This report presents highlights of 4 major disease outbreaks that shaped 2021. Cholera killed twice as many people as COVID-19 in 2021. Cholera is an acute diarrheal illness caused by infection of the intestine. It is contracted when patients swallow food or water contaminated with cholera bacteria. The National Cholera EOC led the deployment of rapid response teams to support the most affected states: Benue, Kano, Kaduna, Zamfara, Bauchi, and Plateau states. Additionally, NCDC and its partners provided states with commodities for case management and laboratory diagnosis, materials for risk communications, response guidelines, among other support. NPHCDA also conducted a reactive oral cholera vaccine OCV campaign in Bauchi local government area, Bauchi State, from 24th to 28th July 2021. Cholera is a waterborne disease, and the risk of transmission is higher when there is poor sanitation and disruption of clean water supply. The wrong disposal of refuse and practices such as open defecation endanger the safety of water used for drinking and personal use. Without proper water, sanitation and hygiene wash, Nigeria remains at risk of cholera cases and deaths. Secondly, Nigeria entered the 4th wave of COVID-19. This came at a time many Nigerians had relaxed and the non-pharmaceutical interventions thrown to the wind. The federal government, however, through the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19, the Federal Ministry of Health, as well as NCDC and its partners, acted swiftly by intensifying risk communication efforts to remind Nigerians of the risk we face and need to take collective responsibility to reduce transmission of the virus. To this end, the agency launched a Celebrate Responsibly campaign as part of efforts to fight the disease during the Yuletide. The campaign calls on all Nigerians to take all necessary precautions for safe and healthy Christmas and New Year celebration. Thirdly, intensified activities for Lassa fever surveillance and response. Lassa fever is endemic in Nigeria, like in several other countries in West Africa. Since January 2021, A total of 454 confirmed cases with 92 deaths, that's a case fatality rate of 20.3%, have been reported from 17 states and 66 local government areas in Nigeria. Both the confirmed cases and deaths in 2021 are lower than what was seen in 2020, which was 1,119 and 232 respectively. In total for 2021, 17 states have recorded at least one confirmed case across 66 local government areas. Lassa fever remains a major public health challenge in West Africa, with Nigeria bearing the highest burden. Lassa fever occurs throughout the year, but more cases are recorded during the dry season, which is November through May. Finally, yellow fever. Nigeria is a high-risk country for yellow fever and is recognized as a high-priority country to the global Eliminate Yellow Fever Epidemic strategy. Yellow fever reemerged in Nigeria in September 2017. A combination of vaccination and vector control strategies is the most important means of preventing the infection. Cumulatively, from 1st January till 31st August 2021, a total of 1,312 suspected cases have been reported from 36 states and the FCT in 395 local government areas. Nigeria recorded a total of 57 presumptive positive and 13 inconclusive samples from her laboratories, while 31 confirmed cases were reported from Institut Pasteur de Dakar, IP Dakar. 13 of the confirmed cases were from Enugu State, while 3 deaths were recorded from Anambra, Imo, and Osun State. While the year 2021 presented us with multiple concurrent disease outbreaks, it is our hope that the year 2022 will not be that of disease outbreaks.
Good to have you on board. Yes, we're here again, and this is the health segment. We have with us Dr. Shalom Oni, who will be helping us make sense of the report you just watched now. Now, talking about 2021 in retrospect, that's the health sector. It was seen as a year of multiple disease outbreaks in the country. It saw the federal government through various ministries, departments, and agencies coming up with several interventions to address these issues. And of note also is the fact that Nigeria entered the 4th wave of coronavirus, and that also prompted the NCDC to launch the Celebrate Responsibly. These, among many others, are some of the issues that we had to deal with in 2021. Like I said before, now we have Dr. Shalom Oni, who will help us make sense of what happened in the health sector in 2021. Hello, Dr. Shalom.
Hello, good to have me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And we say Happy New Year.
Yes, same to you here. We hope that this year is going to be a great year for Nigerians and Lagosians in particular, and we're looking forward to a good outcome.
Amen. That's it.
Amen. Good place to say amen.
Definitely. So, Dr. Shalom, looking at the year 2021, I mean, looking at the health sector in 2021, what's your perspective of what happened?
Well, for me, it has been, ups and downs. We've had several positives in the year 2021, and there were also important negatives also that we need to learn from and make sure that this new year counts for us. Let me start with the positives. If you look at 2021, year 2021, we discovered that this is a continuation of year 2020 when COVID-19 pandemic actually took its toll in Nigeria. The pandemic actually started 2019 December, but then Nigeria began to feel the impact, in 2020. So 2021 was just a continuation of 2020, and the positives for me, in 2021 was that our infection prevention control mechanisms in all the hospitals, across board, primary, tertiary, and secondary, went a bit up. It was improved just because in response to the current pandemic fight. So when I mean by infection prevention protocol, our control mechanism, I'm talking about how you can ensure that the patients who are coming to health facilities coming without going back with another disease, infection. So that's what we talk about, infection prevention control. Also for health workers who are also working in the facility to ensure that, they don't go back to their families, with hospital-acquired infections. So for me, if you look at it across board, I think in 2021, the infection prevention control mechanism in many hospitals, private and government, went a bit up. You see the hand washing, at the entrance. You see the temperature, scanners. You see the sanitizers, face masks, and and what have you. So I think that's a plus for us nationwide, especially also in Southwest and Lagos State. Now, number two. One of the positives for us in 2021 was that there was infrastructural development, even though it was not as expected, but then to a certain level, just to strengthen the health facilities in response to ongoing pandemic fights. So there was infrastructural development. You see many more laboratories coming up, many more laboratories that can do several other technological or other advanced tests coming up, like the genomic laboratories, that we now have in Lagos State, in private laboratories, and only in government hospitals. For me, that is a development that will help us to fight future pandemics. Also, look at the range of tests, that all these facilities will afford. It also went up a little. Then there was renovation in some aspects of hospitals here and there, especially I'm referring specifically to the government hospitals. So renovation, even supply of equipment and repair of whatever equipment, all in the bid to strengthen the air facility to be able to respond to the ongoing pandemic. So for me, that's also another positive. Then we look at personnel, due to the overwhelming impact of the ongoing pandemic, the government have been able to recruit personnel of different cadre, doctors, nurses, medical laboratories, scientists, and medical record officers, and other cadres into different sections of the health system, the primary, the tertiary, and the secondary. So that's a plus for us also, because you could have all the equipment, you could have all the tools, but when the personnel are lacking, are not there, then the tools are just are good for nothing. So that's another positive for us. Then another thing we also look into is that the year that ended 2021, welfareism also went up a bit up, but we hope that we can get more from private and from the government, as far as the welfareism of health workers are concerned. But then, to a certain level, some degree of welfareism came to play. But this one is very, very important. Funding. Several states in Nigeria upped their budget for health, likely due to the ongoing pandemic fight. So that is a positive one for health sector, and we hope even after the end of the pandemic, the health budget is given the proper attention and the proper quota. So for me, these are positives that happened in 2021, okay, which we can look back and pat ourselves in the back. However,
let me quickly come in. Dr. Shah, let me quickly come in. Despite some of these positive achievements that you just reeled out,
yes,
but then the information or research shows that medical tourism in 2021 what has gone high. If you look at the rate of Nigerians traveling abroad for medical checkups and all of that, it was high in 2021. And if you also look at the personnel that you talked about, again, report shows that over 15,000 Nigerian nurses relocated to UK to find, a greener pasture or a better way of life. So how do we marry the two? With this positive image you painted in 2021, and of course with this reality that we have on ground.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Let me respond to the first one, the issue of the brain drain, personal education. Yeah, that happened quite a lot in 2021. You see doctors and nurses moving to UK, Canada, US, and what have you. However, if you look at recruitment, in the last 1 year, I think the government, tried to replace, to fill in the gap created by the brain drain. So overall, even though the resultant effect is not significant. Now, mark that word, resultant effect not significant. However, there was recruitment, across board. But then, this is where we now need to see that our recruitment going forward, especially in this new year, counts. By ensuring that what is actually causing the brain drain, it's solved, it's nibble, which I'm going to be sharing shortly with us.
Please go
Going
ahead.
back to the issue of medical tourism, yes. If you look at the cadre, who are the people that goes on medical tourism? We're talking about the high and mighty of the society. You look at the rich, the well-to-do, the affluent within society, because we're talking about medical tourism. How many millions, of naira or even thousands of dollars, you're going to be turning out for medical tourism. So overall, if you're talking about the affluent, the well-to-do, they are not in the majority. We always have the underprivileged in the majority. So if you are talking about the access of the underprivileged to the healthcare in Nigeria, it went up a little. But if you're talking about medical tourism with respect to the affluent within society, yes, that also went up in our facilities. But don't forget that the COVID-19, the ongoing pandemic, which I'm going to be starting with the negative aspect, is that it put an overwhelming impact on the health facilities and the health personnel. So as a result of that, you see even doctors, coming down with COVID-19. You see doctors also, several health workers passed away in year 2020 and year 2021. So you can see that was an impact of the pandemic. So for me, that was a negative for us, and that could partly explain the reason why you have some of the medical tourism, that we are having here and there. Then also in year 2021. We saw more outbreaks. Apart from COVID-19, we have the Lassa fever, we have the measles, we have yellow fever, we have monkeypox. That was in Nigerian, that was discovered to be having monkeypox, abroad. So these were things that happened in the course of the year. But you also see that some of these outbreaks were had their causative factors from climate change that is ongoing. We have the issue of deforestation, across the nation. You have the issue of open refuse dumping. We have environmental pollution and degradation. There's something happened in Port Harcourt, last year. We saw residents, showing the members of the community that each time they enter their houses or in their residence or in their quarters, they feel this black suits on their walls and on their floor.
If I'm becoming doctor, just a moment. Yes, these are challenges we really need to address in the new year. But let's talk about, because you said that in 2021 it looks like funding for the health sector has gone up. Between 2019 and 2021, it was only a part 3 of the sum of about 1.2 trillion naira that was budgeted. That's across a 3 years period. And so in 2021, I mean, what was budgeted, the figure we saw was around 100 or 200 billion naira. Going forward in 2022, how do you think, because improvement, access to healthcare, facilities and all of that is still lacking, it's still a major challenge, and that's why you have a lot of HMOs and all that initiative around. So how do you think we can, improve that sector from budget allocation to personnel? Because yet we keep seeing our own, personnel traveling abroad, brain drain and all of that. How do we address some of these challenges that you put on the table going forward in 2022?
Let me start with the budget. Let me say something here.
I just want us to make it brief. Yes. Touch on all of these in a moment.
Okay, when I talk about budget allocation, you look at everything in totality. You don't look at what was spent on drugs or spent on renovation, but you look at everything all together. Even the social intervention, is part of, the budgetary allocation. When you look at all the things that we budgeted for in 2021, you see that quite massive, especially for the COVID-19 fight. So that's also part of the budgetary allocation. However, I think the government also needs to do more, in this new year. There is 1% consolidated revenue, that's supposed to go to the primary healthcare level. Then even the budget allocation for health, as agreed by the Abuja Declaration. There's an Abuja Declaration, where all members of states are supposed to budget, close to 15% of their annual budget on health. So, in Nigeria currently we are still on 6, 4, 5%. So I think 2022 the government needs to put the health budget to the level where it's supposed to be, which is the 15% of our annual budget. Then number two, we now need to take the issue of staff welfareism, health workers welfareism serious. There are a lot of health workers that do not have health insurance. So this new year, the government at all levels, the federal and state, even at local levels, look at how health workers, can be part of health insurance. Majority of the frontline health workers, that have been working in COVID-19 still today do not have health insurance. So that is one area for us to develop. Number three, remuneration of health workers. That's very, very important. Nigerian doctors, Nigerian health workers, the nurses, they are poorly paid. So you need to raise that up, to ensure that, going by the current inflation, the salaries are the same, but the economy, there's inflation in the economy, even double figures. So the government needs to look at the salary of all the health workers across all cadres and review them and raise them forward, which can also help with this. But then the issue of training. There are many of the health personnel that are traveling out for training opportunities. So we need to look for how we can make our facilities, to be conducive, for postgraduate training across all cadres, and make the postgraduate training easy access, for the health workers. Because one of the things that is taking our people away is the lack of access, or difficult postgraduate training that is going on across all cadres. That's another thing we need to look at to stem the tide of the brain that's ongoing. Then also, this year we will also need to look at how the government can do a lot of social interventions to alleviate poverty and hunger. We see what happened in 2021 when Nigeria became the headquarter of poverty, extreme poverty in the world. So something needs to be done in that direction so that we can have more of our children coming out of malnutrition, mild to moderate malnutrition. Then also the issue of mental health. You look at all our health workers, you look at all our staff, you look at our productive workforce, how stressed they are in their workforce. The several policies need to come in place. Even the labor laws need to come into place to make sure that our health workers are not stressed in their workplace. The environment is conducive for them to work, so that we can stem the tide of the mental illness that is also ongoing. Then the issue of social vices and drug abuse. That's another thing we need to look at in this new year. A lot of our youths are unengaged. A lot of our youths are unemployed. We need to get these children, these guys out of the streets and engage them productively in agriculture, in technology. So government policies has to be friendly, youth friendly. Government policies have to be youth friendly. There should be less clamp down on technological, ideas and innovations where the youths have found their strength. So the policies have to come into place, whereby our youths are taking off the streets. So
all right, thank you so much, Dr. Shalom. I think that's a good place to end this conversation. It's been a very, very informative one with you. Thank you, Dr. Shalom.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for having me.
All right, that was Dr. Shalom Oni, public health physician, and he has shared with us what he feels and thinks about 2021. And of course, he had a lot of advice also for government at all levels come 2022. And of course, this is 2022. And I think looking at some of the things he talked about, looking at the things he talked about, youth restiveness and ensuring that these young people are engaged, I think that's a very good one. And also talking about health workers' welfare. It's very important. I mean, if the welfare was in place, I don't think we'll be having the brain drain we're having now.
Yes, and apart from that, look at, and that's why the resident doctors and the associations keep coming out and say, look, you have to meet our demand, otherwise we'll go on strike. And when they go on strike, you know what happens. I think all of that on the table is it's on the table of the government, and I hope they should be proactive enough to address some of these challenges that are staring in our face.
Definitely.
Very, very important if we must make progress in that sector this year.
Definitely, it's my hope that we'll make progress in that sector. Another sector we'll be looking at now is the education sector. Just before we listen to that report, I'll say that the Nigerian education sector was among the other sectors adversely affected by the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Year 2021 could best be described as a recovery one for the country's education sector. The lockdown measures to curb the spread of the virus led to school closures, poor learning, unequal access to education opportunities, poor skills, salary cuts, and loss of jobs for teachers, and parents' inability to pay school fees was a loss to school owners, leading to debts. The 9-month strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, that's ASU, which was said to be the longest in 10 years, also paralyzed academic activities. We'll listen to this report, and after then, we'll share one or two thoughts about education in 2021.
As the year draws to a close, it is pertinent to highlight some events that impacted on the education sector of Nigeria negatively in the outgoing year. First is the COVID-19 pandemic. The year 2021 could best be described as a year of recovery, particularly in the education sector of the economy, as it was plagued with a pandemic, especially in the previous year, 2020. Bringing about the closure of schools for most of 2020, the implication brought about the e-learning platforms to mitigate the spread of the virus through close contact by students. While the focus was yet on the pandemic, 9 months of industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, which in no small measure crippled the academic activities of public universities, occurred. Industry sources described it as the longest in 10 years. When the universities eventually resumed on January 18, 2021, after the suspension of the strike in December 2020, they had to grapple with a backlog of admission, and students were rushed to pave the way for new students. Accusing the federal government of reneging on its agreement, the academic union kept threatening to resume its strike, causing uneasiness for the students battling to cover lost grounds. Another event that had a negative impact on the education sector is insecurity. The lockdown and insecurity of the country, especially in the northern part of the country, led to an increase in out-of-school children in Nigeria. According to UNICEF, the number has risen from 10.5 to 13.2 million. In northern Nigeria alone, the Boko Haram insurgency has displaced nearly 2.4 million people in the Lake Chad Basin. Although the Nigerian military has regained control in some parts of the country's northeast, civilians in Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger continue to be affected by grave violations of human rights, widespread sexual and gender-based violence, and forced recruitment. Next is bullying. The campaigns against bullying among students in secondary schools were heightened in the year under review, especially with a few cases that went viral on the internet. The case of the unfortunate death of a young star by the name Sylvester Oromoni, a 12-year-old student of Dowen College, Lagos. It was gathered that some senior students allegedly assaulted him for his refusal to join a cult. While all these sad news went on, President Muhammadu Buhari brought in a glad tiding by announcing a new salary scale for teachers and increasing the retirement age from 60 to 65 years, which takes effect from January 2022. More cheering news came in as the West African Examination Council, WAEC, announced an unprecedented success rate in its May-June 2021 Senior School Certificate Examination, SSCE. It said 1,274,784 candidates, representing 81.7% of the 1.5 million candidates that sat for the examination, secured a credit pass in 5 subjects, including English language and mathematics. It is hoped that 2022 will be a better year for the education sector and indeed for the country as a whole.
Glad to have you back now. It's still iBrandTV New Year special. Thank you for joining us. Of course, it's I'm sure you saw that report there. Well, Perpetua, interesting. The issue with the education report, really, it's something that calls for concern. Among stakeholders, there's been a lot of discussions and debates about how the government has has neglected that sector, and of course that has led to chains of reactions of issues around it. You have about over 13 million out of school children at the moment, so it's a whole lot that in 2020, 2022 rather. What was I thinking? 2022? Oh no, 2022 really. So the government will have to do something about it.
Definitely. You mentioned something about the out of school children, and to a very large extent, especially when you look at the north, there are in some quarters it is believed that one of the things that precipitated the level of insecurity we have in the north is the fact that we had a lot of children who were out of school, and not only were they out of school, some of them were even, a good number of them were almajiris, and so it's that tells you a situation where you have children or young people who are not engaged, who are not gainfully employed. At the end of the day, that might just be a waiting bomb. But away from that, I think we also have to talk about the budgetary allocation, because globally, according to UNESCO expectation, we're expected to have between 15 and 20% of our budget allocated to education.
That's right.
The question is, what do we have right now?
I think that's a big question, really. And when you look at it as well, the question you're asking, you went to the Global Education Summit in London to make that statement, and then 5 months or thereabout later, and then the budget is passed, and then you couldn't implement what you promised at the global stage. So the question is, why did you come out to do that? And so we've been having this issue. The issue of implementation is another issue. The issue of having to the underutilization of the amount allocated for the sector is another issue, because, for instance, like you said earlier, the highest we've seen in the budgetary allocation for the education sector really was in 2018. That's about 7.9%, right? In the last 10 years, of course, before 2015, we had about 10% thereabout. But it's not even, the value is not what we're looking at now, because each year we know that, okay, every year the budget has to be jacked up. So how much of that total figure has been budgeted? That's the question. And even if when you budget that total figure, that amount, or allocated any amount you want to allocate to that sector, how much of that has been implemented? What's
our vision for education in Nigeria? Having these parastatals, how has that helped us achieve this vision? Is it really doing anything?
I think in 2022, of course, this year it's going to be an interesting year. And so in 2022, we should be looking at the government doing something in that regard. Ensure that you have not even met 10% or 15% of the UNESCO's benchmark of 20% for education, in terms of, budgeting just 15 to 20% of the annual country's figure. So if you can do 10%, we're not even asking, do 15%. Start from 10%. Now you promise 15%. You've not even met that half of that 50% you promised that you're going to do. So, it's really disheartening, really, and that's why you have the kind of thing you have in the education sector, because the value is dropping.
Well, that's a whole lot really there. It's our hope that 2022 will be better, and the education sector, of course, will have to sing praises at the end of 2022. All right, very quickly, we'll be moving on to another segment, and that is the politics segment. But before then, listen to this report.
The year 2021 started off on quite a slow note in the political space, with the APC and the PDP differing with each other on rising cases of insecurity and unemployment in the country. With the 2023 elections barely 2 years away, conversations around electronic transmission of results made their way to the National Assembly, with the presidency declining accent to the bill.
If the president is saying, look, I'm not going to assent to this, it's because they are seeing that the Federal Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended has given parties autonomy. And you could say that one of the best things the president ever done in his administration is all this about autonomy, separation of power. Okay? So we have to allow parties to do their things accordingly. On electronic transmission of results, the president has seen that it is this same electronic transmission of results that made him to win the election, that brought him in as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So why should he now turn around and jettison it? Let us move forward away from all this and start discussing how can we be voting in the comfort of our rooms, in the comfort of our offices, even in the kitchen. You should be able to vote.
Another high point in Nigeria's politics was the Anambra election, which held in November, with 4 major candidates and Professor Chukwuma Soludo of the All Progressives Grand Alliance (APGA) emerging victorious. As the year draws to a close and 2022 electoral campaign year unfolds, are there hopes of a credible election?
Well, I strongly believe that the chairman of INEC will want to also have a good name like the former chairman of INEC, Professor Jega. So, based on that, he has looked at the achievements of Professor Jega and also planning to build on it. And that's why he specifically told them at the National Assembly that, look, as far as he is concerned, he's going to stand on electronic transfer of results. As far as he said it, that he is going to stand on electronic transfer of results. Even when some people were saying, look, in some areas we don't have internet services and all that. But how did we do it during the last dispensation? So these are things that he is saying. So if only he can stand on his words, and if only he's also ready to build a legacy for himself, just like Jega did for himself, then I'm sure we're going to have a credible election come 2023.
With uncertainties about who becomes the presidential candidates of the 2 major political parties, the APC and the PDP, it can only be hoped that the votes of Nigerians count in 2023. Mary Chinda for iBrandTV.
Well, that report encapsulates everything that happened in the political scene in the year 2021. Joining us today, we have Mr. Adewale Ademola Justus. He's a political analyst, and he will be making sense of this particular report. It's good to have you on board. Happy New Year!
Thank you for joining us. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so just before we get into the details of the report we just listened to, and of course we know you also have your own views, can you please share with us your view of the political landscape in 2021?
Thank you very much. Like I would always tell people, you see, benchmarking is best done when you have a very ground awareness of what used to be. So the nation Nigeria went through a lot, but comparatively, from my own perspective and the lot I was exposed to in the year 2021, I would give it to the nation as a whole, I would give it to the people as individuals, and as a concept, the nation is coming up. Because you will see economically, or even if you go to security, like I would care to tell whoever would listen, Nigeria of 7 or 8 years ago, you would recall, we were unable to celebrate our annual national independence for security threat. Nigeria was a nation where every Yuletide season will be sandwiched with fuel queues all over. And again, you see, I was in banking some years back, because I left banking in 2017. But before I left banking, there was always this syndrome by year end of each of the years before this 2021 of fear, relative fear, engulfing the business persons around Nigeria. Because unfortunately, we were a nation when, even as the year would tend to be rounding up by December, people wouldn't even have an inkling of what the new year would be. Courtesy suspended budget approval. Because if you were part of Nigeria in some years back, you will see not until the new year is having almost his slippers taken off, the budget for the year in question would not be brought alive. But now, like what we have seen, we were a bit better than it used to be. And for the economy, as a former banker, what economy used to be, because I do not discuss economy in isolation. I wouldn't just say Nigerian economy was better or it was worse, but comparatively, what did we have? What were we used to be having as a country and as a people? For production, for local patronage, for exports and forex hope as a nation, it seemed better in the year 2021.
I know you've raised a lot of points. You talk about security, right? You also talk about the economy as well. But let me take you on that security issue. We'll talk about the economy later, but let me take you up on that security issue, because there are those who will not agree with you.
Definitely.
That Nigeria experienced, relative peace in 2021, given the fact that a lot has happened. In the last one or about 2 or 3 weeks back, we lost over 1,000 people across the nation. And so there are people who are saying, look, even in terms of security-wise, that the country was worse for it.
Like I said, I worked in the bank as an internal controller. Facts, figures make the bulk of what we do. And like I do tell people as a motivational teacher and speaker, sentiments don't win cases, facts do. And where does fact come in here? You see, even right from the days of creation, loss of lives have been. But you see, the issue we are prowling here is the correlational statistics and feelings of the people of Nigeria. You see, I said we had a time just 2013, 2012, 2014, where even church attendance was atmosphered in fear. While approaching a church premise, scanners will be used before you walk in there. While I was in the bank, even as an internal controller, when I was meant to be seated somewhere, romancing data and figures on the system, I had to be pushed out of the banking hall to scan the environment for physical threats. But you will see, now it is a bit better. Not see, whoever says Nigeria is there, or whoever says things are okay.
Are you referring to the Utah season?
No, not the Utah season. We're talking the year perspective.
Year 2021.
2021, because what are the indices?
But the report we're getting really is there that we lost about over 900
I never doubted and I did not disclaim the report. What I'm telling you is relatively, comparatively, because like I do ask, would this be the first of such reports in Nigeria? But there were worse reports.
Okay, I totally understand what you're saying, but looking at the indices, breaking it down, we saw the spate of kidnappings. And when we talk about these kidnappings, they were large-scale, wholesale kidnappings from schools in various parts of the country. I mean, we saw banditry grow wings this particular year. We saw so many things happen this particular year. Even when the president was supposed to be somewhere to commission a particular project, we saw what happened. That was just recently, a few days ago. I mean, looking at all of these things, do you still feel that this 2021 that we have just passed was fair enough?
See, having or consummating the feeling of being fair from someone like me cannot be handed over just in a bunch. What I said, I always compare it with what used to be. 2021 might not have been the best, but with, you see, because there's something in the course of our life coaching. We tell people, falling is not the crime, but being unable to rise from an act of a fall is where we criminalize issues. See, had it been the odd or unpleasant security issues were left untamed, unresponded to, and unattended to, it will have been something else. But what I'm saying, relatively, and by my consideration and the fact I have around, and even from all that we gather from the media, things are looking up. Things are becoming better. Like I said, see, I have a neighbor. He's been 28 years in the military. What this guy was telling me is that the investment of the government in military armaments and ammunitions. He said this has been the best he ever saw. And even, you see, the bombardments and the retaliatory attacks of the military against bandits, insurgents, and the rest have been better compared to what we used to have some 5-7 years ago. We were once in a nation where even this kidnapping, banditry, attacks, and all the rest would happen. They would take place, but there would be no efficient response, not to talk of retaliations. But now we are in situation, at least the year, with the jet bombers, with the attackers, with the ammunitions, with some inflammations all around, particularly targeted at the camps of the bandits. I feel, and I would say per fact, things are looking up.
All right, when we talk about politics, what we are also looking at is the social contract between the leaders and the people, and that boils down to security and welfare.
Yep.
How well, I know to a very large extent you've tried to talk about security and all of that, but I am looking at trickling down to the ordinary man, how it affects the ordinary man. Let's take you up on welfare. How well do you think our leadership has done in that regard?
Let me just highlight something, because this has been a major issue we discuss all across the media. The typical Nigerian is bearing a concept, a sentiment, and the sentiment is about leader. When Bukola Saraki was a Senate president, there was an issue, there was a discussion he had when he said the government, the federal government was supposed to. And immediately I interjected, I said, okay, how would the Senate president be saying the federal government was supposed to and the federal government failed to? See, what we call leadership, national leadership, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Do you understand? So, to a typical Nigerian, I would love to be more based when you categorize what you term leader. Because, like now, we are looking at 2023. A lot of Nigerians are out there expecting mirage and miracles to unfold in the year, forgetting the respective contributions, because it all begins from the electorate. What is the basic expectation of a typical Nigerian? You see, someone has offered himself or is coming up to you, he says he wants to contest. What is the average expectation of a typical Nigerian of a leader? Do you understand? So when we talk leadership, I want us to break it down a bit. Are we talking about the executive? Is it because in Nigeria, for our own Nigeria of today, the three are not working together? They do not give us what we should have as a leader. So if we categorize it further, we may help the audience better.
Piloting the affairs of a country like Nigeria.
Yep.
It's only, hopes to get better with by categorizing, like you said. But again, when you talk about who is on that seat, is the president.
Which of the seats? Which of the seats?
You're talking about the president.
Let me take you up on something.
So that's the only person that is piloting the presidency.
That is the primordial sentiment.
Starting from Mr. President.
Yeah, that is the primordial sentiment bedeviling Nigerians. I said something. Now, as a nation, the bulkiest part of our woes is constitution. Hello? What is holding us together as a people is the constitution. But you and I know that there have been so much misrepresentations in the constitution. Hello? Because let me share something with you. If you look at our national currency, if you look at the flag of the Nigerian army, and if you look at some major institutions of the government, their locations and the documentations, the letterings and fingerings in most of these things are tilted. But these are issues that should be corrected. But hello, who would correct?
Well,
correcting these things. Let me see. You see, I try to.
I understand your point. Because of our time, I want us to get some things right.
Quickly.
Yes. I know that some people may not agree with your position on who is piloting or who should be held responsible.
Yep.
For the affairs or the direction of the way the economy is headed.
Responsibilities are respected.
Even on the security, many may not agree with you that, okay, this year, the year 2021 was better. Fairly better than the rest. Some people may not agree with you. There are so much issue to discuss. But I want us to, from the amendment bill,
Yep.
the passage of the budget,
Yep.
the arrest of Nnamdi, and all of
Nnamdi
that,
Kanu.
and all that happens.
All those things.
Which one is more crucial for you, and why?
Yeah, like I said, because of my training, I dwell so much on amendments.
Okay.
Because the Constitution is the pivotal of all tools. Because for you to seek any legitimate and reasonable redress, it begins and ends with the Constitution. Like I said earlier, I said sentiments don't win cases. In jurisprudence, you don't approach a court or you don't approach a system with the sentiment or the pains in your heart on any part of your body without terminal reference to what the Constitution has said. So, do you know the ailment of the nation called Nigeria, our cancer, structural cancer, is embedded deeply in the Constitution. But unfortunately, we are a people that have been forwarding constitutional illiteracy and constitutional illiterates to the lawmaking now. Because I expect if we have more people who are more legitimate and constitutional, they would attend. Because, see, as a lawmaker, you have much more power to influence who the president is. Hello? The budget is there.
Yes, yes. Sorry to cut in again.
Yeah.
I know the Nigeria judicial system, the lawmakers, we have three arms of government. Of course, the executive have the lawmakers and the rest. But we all know that there is no independence of the three because they work hands in hand.
They are
and most
supposed
of the time, the insinuation is that the lawmakers, are influenced by the presidency.
You said the insinuation, not the reality.
Well, that's the
insinuation.
But that's the feelings.
That's
of
the
Nigerians.
feeling.
See, you know what we teach.
But that's the feelings of every
emotionally.
Nigerian.
See, what you feel, what she feels, what I feel, in most cases may not be the same as what should be felt.
But isn't that is what is happening in reality?
It happens in some extent. Is it all the lawmakers that are within the pockets of those that we claim control them? As much as they are empty upstairs, the other guy there would control everybody.
Why did you think that the lawmakers stepped down on vetoing on the electoral amendment bill that was submitted, even when the president refused to assent to it?
Did you see the constituents? You see the intricacies of that issue. Do you understand? If you look through and you see the critical issues, when we discuss, because on air we discuss this issue of electronic transmission of results. You see, it is not the sentiment of that ideology, but the possibility. But the possibility, primordially is hanging on the technological empowerment that idea would bear. Now we have 774 local governments. Over 300 of the local governments do not have internet connectivity. Hello? So if any set of lawmakers, maybe by sentiment or by ideology or for political whatever, accede to that, is a failure earlier than initiation.
So in your own part, you're saying that that particular bill as it is right now shouldn't have been transmitted in this context?
If we have people that are intelligent.
So you feel that some clauses should have been removed?
Too many.
Can you give us examples of this clauses?
Like this, as I'm saying.
The electronic?
See, if you look at electronic transmission, what is it about electronic transmission? The transmission is just about the results from election. But prior to the election, prior to the derivative of the result, too many things are there. And then now we used to believe that Electoral Act, Electoral Bill, this one, that the moment the president vetoes it, it comes to run. But what of if the president vetoes what was wrong, like it's been vetoed over the years? Do you understand? So like I suggested, I would have loved a scenario where non-politicians, a bit of strict activists, could be brought or introduced a bit into a review of the act. Hello? not the political review we had. Because, like I shared with you, see, how many lawyers are in the lawmaking arm of the government?
How many of them make themselves available?
See availability. Like I said, I was talking about constitutional review because we have a constitution today that permits a lawmaker to absent himself from the house for as much as 100 and something days and yet gets paid.
Mr. Adewale, let's try to wind it down now.
Yeah.
It's pre-election year. I mean, today the year just beginning.
Yep.
And everyone is expecting the president, to change his approach to things in 2022 from what used to be. Yes. So what are some of the things we should be looking at? What are the expectations? Because expectations are quite high, really, from Nigeria.
Can you share with me?
Well, I know, of course, the economy we're talking about. Household income has gone up. Expenditure has gone up over 56% in 2021. Every average Nigerian or household Nigerian was spending about 56% of his income. Income is starting.
But what was responsible for that?
So, I'm asking you.
We have been a consuming nation, and as long as that consumption status remains, we will be continually endeavored by this you have just raised. As I did banking 15 years, I romanced with import and export, and I can categorically see. Look at something that just happened about rice. We used to have rice.
So the question is, how do we address this? If we are an importing nation, import dependent nation, how should we address it? These are some of the issues that are there, and it's there for us to see. Food inflation, scarcity, and all of that. The issue of security, we'll still talk about it. They are all there. How do we address these issues on the table going forward in 2020?
If I may take you by your expression.
Give 1 minute, let's just wrap up.
If I may take you by what you have just said, who are the we? Do you understand? Because the issue of inflation is an issue that is with us as long as we are not producing. But our ability to produce is not laid bare on us alone. It's a constituent of many things. So, as a nation, you see, the investment and attention on infrastructure, in my personal opinion, do you understand? The commitment of the government, if it can be continuous and consistent. I was holding a book before I came in here by Lee Kuan Yew. See, these things we are seeing today, like I do tell people, see, a decadence of over 6 decades. Hello? A decadence of over 6 decades will not disappear within 8 years for whoever loves and knows the truth. We should be willing to sacrifice more as a people because of the truth. And what is the truth? We are import dependent. Let us find a way to run with the vision of the present government per infrastructure. If infrastructural development continues and is enhanced, production can smile a bit. But if our penchants for importation and layback attitude and laziness, monolithic laziness by us Nigerians, if we continue, like I do share with people, when we were younger, on a Friday, Saturday, most of us will be back to farm. But now everybody is in Lagos. And in this our Lagos, nothing like farming. And if you now get back to the villages, farming has evaporated. Well, somebody shared something last week.
I think we need to leave it there because of our time. Even when talking about laziness, most Nigerians will not agree with you because I know that
let anybody pick it up with me. What we call laziness. Nigerians are lazy.
Some of the most resourceful persons across the world.
If you talk spirituality,
let's just leave it there. Thank you for coming, and we wish you a prosperous new year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for being
All right, very quickly, we'll be looking at the state of Nigeria economy in the year 2021. And the Nigeria economy in 2021 witnessed some significant improvement, but not without setbacks. Well, in this special report, which you will be watching very soon, iBrandTV takes into account the country's economic performance in the year under review and some of the challenges that have kept the economy at a slower pace of growth. The report.
In the last 5 years, the Nigeria economy has grown at a slow pace owing to lack of proactive planning and political will from the government. Successive administrations have continued to initiate economic policies to get the economy growing with little or no significant impact. Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, has experienced recession twice since 2016 till date, no thanks to insecurity in the northeast and the effect of the pandemic on the economy. More so, the slow pace of the economy has been attributed to poor policy formulation and bad leadership of the government.
A major challenge is leadership. Leadership in terms of leading us economically, having a blueprint, having a roadmap of where are we going economically, where we do Vision 2020, Vision 2010, Vision 2016, Vision. We have so many that has not really worked. Economically, it has been one of the biggest challenge for Nigeria because I said before, government are elected for two things: provide security and prosperity.
The economy slipped into recession late 2016 after performing poorly for 2 consecutive quarters before bouncing back late 2017. But the economy would continue at a slow pace years after, despite the government intervention to effect the growth. The economy only grew marginally in 2018 and 2.27% in 2019, but would later slip into recession for a second time by 1.9% in 2020 before bouncing back in 2021. However, experts have advised the government to get its microeconomic and macroeconomic environment right if it must get the economy to a path of consistent growth.
We have seen over the years that government is not in the best position to drive investment. It is the private sector. And unless we create the appropriate policy, regulatory, institutional, structural environment, and even macroeconomic environment for investors, then we'll have a lot of limitations.
The year 2021 may have been an eventful year for the government in terms of policy formulation and implementation. But for some Nigerians, they wish to see a better performance in the country's state of economy.
It's not friendly at all. I'm not happy about the economy is growing because I can't remember a dollar now 560 naira per $1. No, it's crazy, man, and I don't like it.
There are some basic and social amenities that are supposed to be in place: roads, food, healthcare, what have you. Those things are not, let's just get better, please. You can do it. We know the money is there.
We're hoping for a better 2022, but 2022 probably is going to be even more scary and dangerous. So I'm just hoping that everyone has some kind of emergency funds saved up somewhere.
The Nigeria economy in 2021 witnessed high inflation rate at double digits, high prices of consumer goods and forex scarcity amongst others. This, according to experts, is indicative of a country's rising mystery index. But the many challenges of Nigeria's economy are not without solutions.
Nigeria is blessed. We need to look inwardly. We need to create more decorations. Our clay is not clay. Our clay is decoration for ceramics. We need to look inward more than ever. Nigerians need Nigerians, or rather, Nigeria needs Nigerians with disruptive solutions to Nigeria's problem. We all are Nigerians. Our brain is wired, to create and to dominate spaces. So bottom line is that we don't have a problem in Nigeria. We have a problem with utilizing what we have.
According to a report, the average Nigerian is more miserable than the average citizens of other African countries, with over 78% of its citizens living in poverty. The implications of the country's rising misery index has begun manifesting as consumers are grappling with deeper dwindling purchasing power, with the poor becoming poorer, living on $1 per day. Analysts say the poverty index will continue to rise until the country scales up its intervention in different sectors of the economy.
All right, thank you for joining us again. It's still iBrandTV New Year special. But let's get straight now to business. Here is Omobolanle Adeshiyi with the business review.
Happy New Year. 2022 is finally here, and in getting set for the new year, it is always important to do a review and take stock of the past year. Hello, welcome. I am Omobolanle Adeshui. Now let's have a general overview of what 2021 was like, especially looking at the federal government's economic policies in 2021. Now, one of the biggest policies is the devaluation of the naira. In May, Nigeria's central bank devalued the naira by 7.6% against the dollar as authorities in Africa's biggest oil producer migrated towards a single exchange rate system for the local currency. The CBN replaced the fixed rate of 379 naira to a dollar used for official transactions with a more flexible NAFEX, also known as investors and exporters exchange rate, that has averaged 410 naira 25 kobo per dollar this year, according to data on the website. Now let's look at the effect this had on the economy in 2021. And joining me to discuss this is Gamaliel Tanimomo, a business analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's so great to see 2022, isn't it?
Same here.
Now let's look at what happened, especially when President Buhari and Osinbajo took office in 2015. One of the first demands of the investing community was that the government should devalue the naira and maintain a single exchange rate system. But then we saw the president vehemently saying that he was not going to devalue the naira, and then his Vice President Yemi Osinbajo supported him, saying this was not going to happen. But 6 months down the line, we saw some devaluation happening, especially when it comes to the naira. What's your reaction to that?
So, first again, Happy New Year to our viewers. So I think the devaluation was imperative, and it was long awaited.
So what do you think changed? When they resumed office in 2015, there was a vehement no that they were not going to devalue. And then later on down the line, we see some changes happening.
Some things are better imagined than experienced. And we know that the global scale is evolving. So perhaps prior to assumption in office, they took a stand. But of course, getting to office, they had to look at global economic factors, indices, parameters, and devaluation became imperative. And I think that was the reason, or one of the reasons, why they had to take that stand, which they initially did not want to take.
But we've seen the naira drop, even, for instance, initially a month after Vice President Osinbajo's call, that was in 2016, the CBN removed its peg on the naira, that's from 197 per dollar, and now it went as high as 283 naira per dollar in a matter of hours. And we see that over time it's been going down the drain, especially against the dollar. Isn't this some form of negative effect?
No, I expect that, because it's subject to the forces of demand and supply. And once we don't address the supply side, it's going to affect the demand side. So there's going to be some measure of stability, particularly in the new year, with more fiscal policies that are economic driven. And I underline that word. Fiscal policies that are economic driven. So CBN must be intentional to ensure some stability in the world. Of course, we're going to see a free fall, and then with time, it's going to stabilize.
But a free fall since 2016 till now. The dollar is currently at about 510 naira. That's at the official rate now. So rather at the parallel market.
So there has to be a blend between the fiscal and the monetary policies. We can't just drive economic policies from the fiscal leg and abandon the monetary policy. So the question is, are we an import-driven or an export-driven economy? The question is, we are still more of import-driven. We import everything up to our toothpick. So until the federal government is intentional about investing in production, investing in manufacturing, we will not see a balance. So you can't just address this side. It's going to be like an equilibrium. It's going to tilt to one side, and that is why we're seeing a supposed free fall. But if the leg of monetary is attended to, I'm sure it will even out.
But if you look at one of the other policies in 2016 was the ban of forex on importation of about 41 items into the country. Wouldn't you say that that is a move in the right direction?
It is, but the question is, have we created a possibility for local companies to produce what was banned? How many factories have we opened up in its real sense? How accessible is dollar to you and I? So it's easier for us to get dollar from Bureau than getting dollars from the financial institution.
And now even the Bureau de Change has been banned from accessing Forex.
So it tells me that we're one step back forward, multiple steps backward. So that's a problem.
So in your opinion, there should have been some form of local domestic moves or policies to boost manufacturers before taking those steps.
I agree. So in the course of the year 2021, World Bank, to some large extent, zeroed down on ease of doing business because the data was fraught with inconsistency. For me, local content is just some rhetoric because we're not really doing it. So our National House of Assembly wants to buy a car. They will still go and buy from, while innocent is there. So who are we fooling? The CBN wanted to come up with the e-Naira and outsourced the old technology to a Caribbean-based company when we have local partners. So we can't be speaking from both sides of the mouth. In 2022, our policies need to be coherent. We must match our words with action.
As things are right now, especially with the rate of the Naira at 565 at the parallel market, a lot of economists and analysts have been calling for devaluation of the Naira. That is in 2021, right now. A lot of people are asking that the Naira be devalued. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's a tricky economic question, and there are no one size to it. Devaluation is not a zero-sum game. It's just like you saying removing subsidy. Subsidy is going to affect some people, is going to
favor
benefit some people. So we need to look at how is devaluation going to affect the common man? 2, how will it affect prices of goods and services? And of course, what impact will it have on the economy? Once we're able to dimension these 3 indices properly, I think we can go ahead. But I think devaluation should be done.
You think right now we should devalue? But are you looking at the other side effects like inflation, like unemployment, and the fact that importation would now be more expensive?
No economic policy is a sprint. It has pain. So when the Obasanjo administration started to democratize telecoms, it was pretty expensive. You and I know how much a SIM was the cost there. But right now, you can buy a SIM for as low as 100 Naira. In some cases, it's giveaway. And that is what's going to happen to these policies. We are going to suffer momentary pains. But in the long term, these pains are going to even out. So my question is, while we're going about these policies, let us provide stopgaps for people so that there's a buffer to accommodate
the cushioning effect.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I would just take a breather and then we'll be back to look at the CBN's regulation of the cryptocurrency in 2021. Please stay with us. Now, on February 5, the CBN released the ruling that ordered all financial institutions to stop facilitating crypto transactions and desist from transacting with entities engaging in crypto. The statement also instructed all banks and financial institutions to close accounts of individuals or entities engaging in this type of transaction. The CBN warned in the letter that breaches of the directive will attract severe regulatory sanctions. This letter sparked a lot of reactions and caused a lot of confusion amongst the people as to whether they can still buy Bitcoin in Nigeria and engage in crypto transactions. It also explained that crypto has been a tool to facilitate lots of illegal deals due to its anonymous nature, and the directive is to protect the Nigerian financial system and also the majority of Nigerians from the risk associated with crypto transactions. Now let's discuss this further with Gamaliel Tanimomo, business analyst. He's still with us. Thank you so much for staying with us.
Thank you for having me always.
Now, looking at this crypto ban, to clarify things, the CBN actually explained in the press release on February 7 that the circular was just to enforce the regulation that all banks should not involve in crypto trades, which has been in place since January 2017. And, you know, a lot of people came up with their own interpretations, saying that, oh, they don't want the youth to get, you know, a form of employment and all of that. But what are your thoughts? Immediately that ban or that regulation came out from the CBN. What was your reaction?
So, candidly, I think it was lack of proper understanding that made the CBN ban the crypto. And I stand to be corrected.
You mean the CBN didn't understand
Did you understand it was? So
cryptocurrency
you
is?
can't fight what you don't understand. And perhaps there's an outer of truth in the sense that when during the NSAS issue, it was rumored that crypto became a tool for financing. So all of the gist was that crypto was used. And that was, in my own opinion, what triggered that ban. I can see what happened because afterwards a lot of things happened. I know a lot of youths who became employed due to crypto. Crypto became the easy way to transact. So if you wanted to give me money, I just okay, don't worry. Do you have a crypto wallet? So that had multiplier effect on our economy because Nigeria was the second largest crypto trading country in the world at that time. I agree that there's a flip side to crypto. But let us look at the bigger picture. It's not like you trying to say you want to censor the internet because people are doing negative
Just like the
stuff.
Twitter ban.
So imagine how much Nigerians or Nigeria has lost from the Twitter ban. So we can't throw away.
You know, reports had it that about 6 billion was lost within 3 days of the ban.
You can't throw away the baby with the water bath. You need to remove the baby and then throw the water away and not just discard everything. So that, in my own understanding, is what the CBN lacked in an outright ban of the crypto.
You talked about the flip side. Now let's look at the flip side of this ban, because one of the things the CBN said made them ban it is because of the illicit transactions and the fact that it aids cyber criminals. Has it stopped that? Now that it has been banned, has that stopped?
Your guess is as good as mine. It hasn't. But I think that with more benefit of hindsight, the CBN would not have banned that. Because the question is, can we aggregate a community of stakeholders in the ecosystem to say, guys, these are the issues? Crypto thrives on blockchain, and you use blockchain literally everywhere. Blockchain allows you flexibility, allows you openness, allows you transparency, and that is the future. We can see economies floating their own cryptocurrencies right now to aid funding and all of that. So I think with more hindsight, in the new year, I expect some reversal to a large extent on the CBN stand on this issue.
And even despite the ban, we see that some peer-to-peer exchanges are still going on. So it looks like it's like a counterproductive, don't you think?
It is not, because technology is rapidly changing. So we have Web 3.0, Web 5.0. So whilst you're still trying to catch up with the trend, so look at Facebook. Facebook has evolved into Meta, and then it's evolving. So while we are still, so just tells you that we are not forward thinking. Now we're still trying to grapple with crypto, and then they're doing peer-to-peer and all of that. So the cheese has moved.
Now, looking at the CBN's intention actually for this ban, a lot of people think that the government needs schooling on crypto-related matters, and that these actions are actually deliberate and conscious steps to gradually wind down crypto in Nigeria. Is that what we're seeing now?
The government is the biggest spender. The government influences the biggest policy. I do not know what is in the mind of the government. There could be an outer of truth in what you've said, because the government might say, we don't want to trade here. But the question is, 2023, this government is going to leave. Are we going to make ourselves a pariah status? Are we going to shut ourselves out from the outer world? So look at what happened in Twitter. All government agencies, because of a single ban by the government, couldn't disseminate information. COVID, I mean...
And then we see some of them taking the back door.
And then they will tell you that, oh, I'm in a country, you know, so it just tells you that we need to look at issues holistically. We can't afford to be selfish. So the large proportion of our population are youths, and they use the crypto, they use the Twitter, and we can't afford. So there's a generational
So would you
gap.
say, sorry to button, would you say that the advantages or the disadvantages of this ban far outweigh the advantages?
No. The advantages
of the ban
outweigh. Oh, forgive me. The disadvantages outweigh the advantages. Look at Twitter ban. And up till now, we're still hiding under the bushel, we're still using VPN. And look at how many businesses have been lost, the income from this country due to this Twitter ban, and now crypto ban.
But one would expect that if this is something that is boosting revenue, helping youths to get employed legally, one would expect that the federal government would encourage it.
So politics drive everything in Nigeria. So if you today become a thorn in the flesh, just one policy can overturn an entire sector. So look at what happened during SEC around regulatory tenure for churches. And now we have 10 years for a church and all. So and the government is powerful. The government can wake up tomorrow and say all radio stations want to do something, real estate sector, there's going to be so that's just the government. The government is powerful. Look at what happened to Jack Ma in China. And now the government clamped down on his wings, and now I don't even know where he is right now.
So if you were to profile a solution, especially trying to curb the cyber criminality that the CBN claims to want to curb by banning cryptocurrency, how would you suggest they go about it without having to regulate cryptocurrency?
We have about 7 types of data in Nigeria that, pardon me, is useless. We have BVN, we have name, we have several other data that is. The question is, what do we use this data for? It's nothing. So let us use our data as touch point for regulatory purposes. We have a name, we have a BVN. BVN is unique. And for every account transaction, so let's say if you want to have a crypto, you must first have a BVN. It's fine. So we can begin to track, and we can begin to be analog in our data analysis again. The world has gone global. How did the US track down Hush Puppy? It was because it was digital. Let us leverage on technology to make things work.
Okay, what effect would you say this has had on the Naira so far?
Marginal, because there are 2 parallel lines. The crypto is blockchain oriented. The Naira is just a legal tendency. Perhaps some way, because give me Naira, I give you crypto, but I think it's marginal. It hasn't had any effect.
It's not really
no,
obvious.
No.
But you mentioned the NSAS protest that happened on Twitter in the past, and then you linked it up with the crypto, the fact that they were able to get in money via Bitcoins and all that. Looking at that link you just made, would you say that the federal government is averse to the youth speaking up?
Now that's a tricky question. So everything is political. And once you understand that, we will not have friction with the government. The government needs to be responsive. They need to understand that the youths are the future, and they need to speak the language of the youth. I would have expected a dialogue to say, okay, what do you want? So look at the not too young to run bill. How much is a form? Can you afford to pick up a presidential form? Can I run a presidential campaign? So we're still speaking. Chile just had its president, 35-year-old young man. And I'm saying, in my life, can I ever see a 35-year-old man become president in this country? First, you have to battle with primaries. You have to share Ghana must go. I think we're just going around in circles.
So what are your expectations for 2022?
Okay, so once again, Happy New Year. I expect the government to adopt a wholesome policy reform and not a loop-sided policy reform.
How do you mean?
One is, let's cut down on imports and let's boost local production. Number 2 is the propensity to borrow should be reduced. Let's even take stock of what we are borrowing for. Why are we borrowing? What are the projects? And number 3 is that the supposed fuel subsidy in 2022, we might likely see a removal. So the question is, that is going to create another emotional backlash, and economic blackouts are going to go out of hand. Prices of foodstuff will increase, and salaries are not increasing. So we need to provide all those buffers so that Nigerians can indeed say, we voted for you, and these are the dividends of democracy. I expect a handshake between the fiscal policies and the monetary policy.
Especially as this present government is taking their bow.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Gamaliel Tanimomo, business analyst, for the robust conversation this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, that's it for today. My name is Omobolanle Adeshi, wishing you a fruitful 2022. Bye for now.
very good one with Mo Bolanle and the analysts. I think they did a great job giving us a review of business in 2021.
Especially when you look at how the year, panned out with policy, forest scarcity, the issue of having to ban some items in 20. So a whole lot went down in 2020.
Now that you mentioned Forex, I'm excited you said this because recently we had the president saying something about the fact that he's going to make Forex more accessible to manufacturers, and that's a big one. It's something I personally look forward to because I've had situations I've had conversations where people have said that was a major challenge, and we had situations where some companies even started laying off staff just because they couldn't access Forex, and so production reduced. So many things really, but it's a good thing that the president is saying that he's going to do something about the concerns that are raised by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and that's a very good one.
Which is about access to Forex, in 2022. So we hope that, because even some experts have called that policy should be reviewed. Why banning Forex, sales of Forex to the BDCs when people cannot have access to it again? So, but just like you said, well, in 2022 is an interesting year. So let's see how it goes.
Definitely. All right, and we'll be moving now to a very important segment of, let's say, a very important sector in our country, Nigeria. This is one that even the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, had come out to say that truthfully, there are challenges in this particular sector, and this is none other than security. Well, we have a guest with us in the building, Ambassador Roy, but before he says something, we'll just take you through what we have for you. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has said insecurity is the major challenge faced by the federal government in 2021. He said this on Thursday during a press conference to showcase the achievements of the President Muhammadu Buhari's regime during the outgoing 2021. Now, according to him, despite the long list of achievements by Buhari's regime, insecurity was a major challenge. Now, before we listen to our guest, we have a report for you, which you'll be watching right now.
Nigeria, in many years down the road, has become one of the most hit with insecurity as the nation battles Boko Haram and insurgency in the northeast, banditry, northwest and central, agitation by the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra in southeast, militancy and kidnapping in south-south, while the southwest is not also spared as it is faced with Yoruba nation agitations. In fighting to stabilize the nation, various governments since the return of democracy in 1999 from former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, Goodluck Jonathan, and now President Muhammadu Buhari have continued to increase funds appropriated for defense and security. Despite these huge investments, the country in the year 2021 was faced with various challenges that may have affected investment and economic development. The year 2021 began with President Muhammadu Buhari rejigging his security chiefs following the outcry by Nigerians over the high rate of insecurity, amongst many other deaths. Running in thousands from suspected cases of insecurity was thrown into mourning with news of the newly appointed Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Atahiru Ibrahim, and other senior military officers involved in a plane crash in the northwestern state of Kaduna, leading to additional more deaths of security agents in the year. The death of 7 personnel of the Nigerian Air Force in February 2021 who died in a Beechcraft crash on their way to Minna, Niger State, on the fight against insurgency were few amongst many other crashes that took place during the year. While the nation was battling with other forms of insecurity, students of some schools in the northern parts of the country were at the spotlight following activities of kidnappers who adopt school children asking for ransom. In February 2021, 42 persons, out of which 27 students, 3 staffs, were among those kidnapped from Government Science College, Kangara, in Rafi local government area of Niger State. The adoption of 30 students from the Federal College of Forestry in Mando, Kaduna State in the month of March by gunmen was the 4th mass school adoption in the year. Report has it that Nigeria has lost no fewer than 964 security agents, including 322 policemen and 642 soldiers, and thousands of civilians unaccounted for in attacks of insurgency and banditry within the last 1 year. According to these Nigerians, the state of insecurity in the year 2021 did not only reduce direct foreign investment, but has also limited the expansion of local businesses in the country.
So I traveled to my village. That was on Friday. But on getting home, I was so surprised when they told me that one of my big brother's son, who happened to be a captain in the Nigerian army, was involved in the bombing that just happened back in the north. So I was touched, nearly cried. Reason being that the so-called guy just lost two of his senior brothers sometimes ago.
We need to increase the security personnel. Like if you go abroad, you see policemen, they are always with body cams. But unlike what we have here, the policemen are not well equipped. The facilities they need to protect the citizens is not there. When you talk about security and you want all amenities to be in place, do we have a steady power supply to operate all the machineries, all the equipment needed? We don't have that.
Nigerians are, however, hopeful that the security situation in the country will be improved on in the year ahead. I, Boji Warrior, reporting for iBrandTV News.
Glad to have you back now. This is iBrandTV New Year special, and of course we've been looking at different sectors, reviewing 2021 as the year wind down yesterday. So Happy New Year once again. So get to security straight ahead, like we told you earlier, and we have Ambassador Roy Ohiteva, a security expert and analyst. He's here with us in the studio. Thank you for joining us, and we say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
All right. Looking at that particular report, we saw a chronicle of a lot of issues talking about banditry, kidnappings, a lot of things really. The question now is, how exactly did we get here as a nation?
Well, we know how we got there. The problem is, why do we keep going to that direction? It's destructive. It's going to be devastating, especially when it gets to an extent where you have finally collapsed government institutions. So now, we had a military regime, and the military regime instituted force, governance by force. And so many of our politicians went against the military regime, Nadeko and so many bodies. And they got emancipation, and we had democracy. Instead of them to use that democracy judiciously, they started to do political violence, political thuggery, political terrorism. To intimidate opponents was the order of the day. Ballot boxing, snatching, abduction, killing of opponents. Then we got to where we now started to see some as godfathers. Then those ones that were now seen as godfathers started to intimidate institutions. The police. Before you become an IG, there must be some people that have recommended you. Before you become a governor, before you become a chief of army staff, before you head the EFCC. And we didn't see it at anything. That's why he said this road that we are following, we'll continue on that road until our eyes get clearer. Now, we intimidated the institutions, so the police is standing, and there is a political rally, and area boys are shooting guns, breaking bottles, and stabbing even journalists like you. And nothing is done. Even one of the guys was flown abroad for treatment. Everything is in the news. Now, we now got to where our eyes began to get clearer when we now saw that kidnap for ransom through Evans' case. Everybody heard of $1 million
So you just take somebody and it's $1 million. Armed robbery toned down to kidnapping. And you know, kidnapping in the north and kidnapping in the south and the east is different. You know, most of the kidnap for ransom, there are cases where you meet professional kidnappers. You are sure that you get your victim back. You will negotiate and you will get your victim back. You know, then we started to hear that victims get raped. Then we started to hear that victims get dismembered. That is now the ritual aspect. You know, so there are some victims that we don't even hear about them anymore. So kidnap and the terrorism situation in the north with ISIS and ISWAP internal disagreements, which led to the death of Shekau, internal fightings, dismembered most of their generals. They were disengaged. Those ones took men, hold ground somewhere, and they called themselves bandits. They started to collect taxes. They started to hold communities to ransom. What is your agenda? Nothing.
You know, Nanajita, you've talked about banditry. Why is it difficult to nip this in the bud? What exactly is the challenge?
That's where we are going to. We are coming from the politicians. So the bandits now hooked up to the local government chairman, the village heads. You had so many of them were arrested now. So it became business. So while you are doing that business, you channel those authority to any of the political bigwigs in Nigeria. And those people now will be speaking in Abuja as if they have authority. That's why you see people saying they are negotiating for bandits. They are not terrorists, they are bandits. Don't talk to them like that or they will get angry and kill more people. You know, so before you become something, so a DPO that is maybe has some intelligence and everything and wants to arrest me, Ambassador Roy, but he will be asking, who does he know? Then maybe he does. And somebody calls him. What happened yesterday? We got the kingpin. He said, can you let him go? And he's let go. How many have you seen paraded on media trial with guns, human parts? Some they will say, hold the head in your hand. How many have you seen with a conclusive judicial process? Our criminal system, justice system, is just messed up. Then even those that were harnessed and locked up in the correctional center, the next thing is to break it out. So they break open the correctional center and these boys come out again. Everyone wants to wield power. Everyone wants to be the one that the government is talking to be able to calm peace. So you move from APC to PDP, you move from PDP to APC, is becoming a norm. So this guy is in this party, is talking against the other party, the next day he moves to the other party. What agreements did he do? What negotiations were carried out? Who was sold? Whose peace was sold? Whose information was sold? So at the end of the day, the judiciary is just there. And you know, you see how they messed up the Chief of Justice, the Chief, Attorney General. Yes, Attorney General, thank you. You see, just mess it up. Then the Nigerian Bar Association, that should be an institution that should be articulating all the aggressive interactions. They are also in their own crisis. Nigerian Bar Association election, you see people fighting. Lawyers fighting for an election that we want to have a president of a bar association. So this violent politics has entered into every facet of our organizations. So right now, for you to be a bandit, you must have people that can intimidate agencies. For you to be a 419 guy, you must have people that can intimidate agencies. So they caught Hush Puppy, and he mentioned so many other people. How far? Our own justice head, Malami, said there are people and corporations that were listed as funding terrorism. You're a journalist, you can Google it. He said their names were sent to us. Till date,
yes,
nothing has been done.
He actually mentioned the names, about 3 of them.
These things are in the news, so nobody will say you are. What are you saying?
Why is it a problem? I mean, these people are mentioned, and we've heard a lot of instances where they say, okay, we have the names, we have the list. Even from Imo State, we are hearing something like, okay, some people are going to be named by January 3rd and all of that. I don't know, why are we talking about naming these people? Is it more important than actually, doing the right thing, addressing this issue from the very roots?
How do you address the issue? The first thing is to generate evidence. You must have evidence, and if you have international collaboration, they will give you the evidence, okay, both local and abroad. Then when you have the evidence, you use the appropriate agency. Because if it is financial crime, you need to use the EFCC. If it is something the DSS should handle, and you don't need all the Rambo style. If you invite the guy, it's not coming, you seal him up. How do you seal him up? He can't fly. He can't use his ATM. He can't use online banking. These are our spaces. Are we not in charge of online banking? Are we not in charge of the ATMs? Are we not in charge of every other thing? Everything that you need to do is controlled by the government. You can't use a phone. You will be caught. When you are caught, you are handed over to the right agency. The agency will project all the evidence and become the prosecutor and come before a judge. The judge will read out what offenses you have committed and read out the penalties. If they want to adjourn the case or whatever, it's even wrong because you have the evidence. Then when they sentence you, it's either death, if it's a penalty for death, or whatever. Do it immediately. Why? It's not that you don't know what you are doing. It's a deterrence. It's a deterrence. We have failed to see the relevance of deterrence in our judicial system. We have failed to see that the penal code is necessary to put other people at check. So if you penalize one person, you have 10, 20, 30, 50 people saying, this thing we're doing, God, I don't want to go into that.
Let me come in here. I mean, there are categories of the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is very complex. I mean, you have the banditry facing us. That's another monster. You have the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast. And so you also have the Fulani headers and the farmers clash and all of that. Although in recent time it seems that has died down a little bit. But then again, you also seem to be putting the bulk of the cause of, or the root cause of insecurity on the doorstep of the politician. And now, what would you say really is the cause of this complex issue, this complex insecurity issue we're facing in Nigeria at the moment?
There is a generation of leadership in Nigeria now. They need to move on. Because they have signed alliances, they have signed agreements with so many factors. You know, we have oil wells, and it belongs to certain people in Nigeria. You know how much it is when I say I'm giving you 10 billion naira. You know, money like 20,000 naira, 5,000 naira, people have been caught with human head and said they paid me 20,000 naira. My own is to come and butcher. You saw the man on TV. He said he's a farmer and his work is to butcher people, and they pay him 20,000 naira. When you see an alert of 1 billion in your account, you will sell your village. You know, so we are in that transaction in Nigeria where there are certain people that have held sway that need to make decisions, and they have stooges. They need to hand over to somebody. They are saying that MC Olomo is fighting to be king in Oshodi. Are you from a royal family? What happens to status quo? In the army now, if a general, somebody will be promoted to a position, 20, 30 others will be retired. Where is the hierarchy and everything? So Police Service Commission is always at loggerhead with the office of the IG because of sentiments, because of interest. And these interests are petty, they are selfish, they are not people-centered. Government is supposed to be by the people. So how many times, how many governments have we held in Nigeria that will say it's by the people? Government is supposed to be for the people. How many times have you seen a senator not living in affluence? because he's not living in affluence because before he became a senator. So who is supposed, ICPC
yes,
is supposed to do that? So you are seeing that there's a catchment of people that have interest. These interests are not conflicting. No, it's because you see APC and PDP fighting outside. Behind the scene, they are sharing things, and these things they are sharing are supposed to be for the people. But bursary, what stopped it in the university? What made students not to be getting, even if it's a stipend? How much is it that they stopped it? In the army, they used to feed soldiers. What stopped it?
Now, this, I mean, it looks like we're handling something bigger than us here. Because you just gave an example of a man on TV you saw who was paid just 20,000. That, of course, can be attributed to maybe poverty or maybe lack of engagement and lack of employment. So it's a complex issue. So that's one thing. On the other hand, on one hand, on the other hand, you also mentioned the issue of ballot snatching, the assassination, the insecurity, and someone that was killed, and all of that. This whole is a complex issue that we may not even get to address it in a day. But the question I want to ask you is there something we're missing? Because every year the government will budget a particular amount for the security sector and all of that. In 2022, of course, the security and housing and all of that is taking the larger chunk of the 17.1 trillion naira that was just passed into. So is there something we're missing out? This seems to be a fundamental problem. But is there something really? What exactly are we missing out? We seem not to be getting it.
If you look at what you are missing, it's not difficult, sir. If you say somebody was paid 20,000 because he did this, he did that, you now use that as a yardstick to understand the mindset of the population. Now, if you give a budget and you said this institution, this government parastatal has 200 million, and you do a review and you see that they spent 20 million, where is the 180 million? This Oga did not disburse. It was transferred to this account. The same auditors that you sent will be behind that 180 million, and they will get sorted out, and that matter will die. Where are the monies you found in Ikoyi? Where are they? Where are all the criminal cases of corruption? Then we now started to hear out of court settlements.
Okay, if we are to deal with these issues, if we are to follow these issues, these criminal cases to a logical end, what should we do? Because from what you're saying, you have said something in line with the fact that our politicians and some of them have vested interest, and that's what is partly hindering justice and all of that. Then as individuals, as citizens of Nigeria, are we incapacitated?
Let me start with you guys. There is something called uncompromised investigative journalism. You know investigative journalism, but I'm adding the word uncompromised, because so many investigative journalism that we see on public space now is gingered towards bringing one person down or one institution down or this. Now, why can't you journalists now say this case of Wadume, Evans, why can't you have a time where you feature a follow-up? A follow-up and say he was presented before the court last week, and it is adjourned to 2 weeks time. That 2 weeks time, don't fail. Appear before the court and extract what the next adjournment or penalty or what. If you don't have a closure, continue to follow case by case. If we have journalists, all our radio, TV stations putting their focus on case by case and trying to help follow it up, you know, you will be shocked that citizens will start giving you updates on that case. Next week, when you are coming on air, this is the next.
Because of our time,
I know we don't have the time.
We don't have the time. I mean, when you talk about investigative journalism,
there's a whole lot of
successes recorded in that regard. But 2022, of course, is here waning. We're just getting started. looking at security, I mean, with what happened, comparing it with 2021, it was an interesting year in 2021. But given this year now, what are your expectations? You know, as a security expert, what should we be expecting? What should the government do? What are the things, one or two, three things that you think the government needs to put in place to address this rising spate of insecurity that the country is facing?
Sure. All government officials,
let's make it snappy,
that have authority to make a change, to make a decision, they passed over from 2021 to 2022. And so many of us prayed to enter 2022. Now you are in 2022. Put your eyes into people-centered decisions, or you resign if you are constricted. First thing the agencies should do is recruit people that are educationally sound, because insecurity right now is a dynamic that has gone global. ISIS is not from Nigeria. It became ISWAP, and Boko Haram bought into them. They have scattered the Boko Haram. Now they are bringing in their own. So it's global. So write to all the universities that have criminology and security studies, intelligence and security studies, and tell them to give you the database of the graduating students, and send them SMS. If you want to join the army, if you want to join this, stop recruitment from referral. Okay, give me 10 people. We are recruiting for police next week. Go and take those that did years. Then improve the emolument. Make it attractive.
There's 20%.
Make it attractive. That's an insult. The 20% increment is an insult. If I pay you 60,000 naira and I give you 20% increment,
12,000.
what's that? The least increment I did in my company recently is 40,000 naira. On top of what they already have. And meanwhile, you will put them on HMO, which we don't have, the military don't have, the veterans don't have. What you have is just to treat malaria. The police, now they are talking about putting them on medical, so they walk around looking for Panadol when they face hazards that they are not well paid for. Then another thing you do, you put the institutions in order. Remove all those instructors you have there. The focus of insecurity right now is global. Introduce inviting external invigilators to come and do one or two things for the boys. When they come out, the technology that you taught them with, make sure it is operational.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Arihidefe. I think this is a very good place to wrap up this conversation. We'll go to a very quick break, and when we return, we will continue. Don't go anywhere.
Most people don't understand the magic of the perfect skin, the allure of a well-pampered skin. We bounce from skincare products to skincare products, from spa to spa. Looking for that ideal solution. I found the solution. And it's Blemiviv Skincare and Spa. My name is Neil, and I'm proud to be a part of the Blemiviv family.
Oh, well, in a moment, we'll take a quick look at sports in 2021. What were the highlights? What were the things that happened in 2021? Are there lessons we need to take from sports in 2021? We have a report which you will be watching right now, but don't forget we have with us in the studio Samson Oloye. I call him the sportsman, and with him, we'll be making sense of what happened in sports in 2021. Stay with us. This is it. Watch.
The year 2021 in sports is one filled with intrigues, controversies, and record-breaking moments as athletes elevated their games to provide sports enthusiasts with great sporting moments. From the world of football to tennis to athletics to basketball, not excluding Formula One, MMA, and the biggest sporting stage of all, the Olympics. Owing to the foregrounding, let's examine critically the highlights from major sports this year. But let's hear from the streets first, where Nigerians disclosed their favorite sporting moments of the year.
Is the match they play with Chelsea. The best match I've ever watched this season is Manchester United against Newcastle.
It was a match that we played with Man City. That's the final match. It was a spectacular match.
My guy Lionel Messi on his seventh Ballon d'Or, and Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley on that, that KO, that knockout, bro.
It's Chelsea against Man City, because if you view out what happened that day, Man City was the favorite, which everybody knows, and even the sporting people giving them more hope than Chelsea, believing that they are the favorite, but it turned around other way. But that is football for you.
Yeah, I would say my favorite sporting moment of 2021 should be Lionel Messi winning the Ballon d'Or. You know, everybody was thinking Lewandowski, Jorginho, Kante or Ronaldo will be the one winning the Ballon d'Or. And all of a sudden, Messi just, won it. I also think he deserves it because of the Copa America. And if you can see now, look at Barcelona without Messi. You would know Messi was the backbone of Barcelona, and also leading Argentina to the first Copa America title for a very long time. So I think that's my biggest sporting moment of the year. Lionel Messi winning the Ballon d'Or 2021, and I'm sure he's going to win more.
Football's biggest moment of the year 2021 boils down to Chelsea's UEFA Champions League win over Manchester City and Italy's Euro 2020 win. Kai Havertz's strike against City completed a turnaround for Chelsea, who won their second UEFA Champions League title at the expense of Pep Guardiola's Manchester City. It was indeed a crowning moment for Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea, having initially struggled in the season under club legend Frank Lampard. The Euro 2020 took place across 10 countries a year after its initial date due to COVID-19 pandemic, and it was the Azuris that completed their resurgence to world football reckoning. Roberto Mancini's men edged the Three Lions on penalties, with goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma emerging as the tournament's MVP. In the world of combat sports, boxing especially, Tyson Fury's 11th round knockout win over Wilder in their trilogy stands out, with 5 knockouts in the bout, 2 to Wilder and 3 to Fury. While Alexander Usyk's impressive boxing masterclass against Anthony Joshua to become the unified heavyweight champion is also a major talking point. In motorsports, with 2021 offering so much in terms of intrigues, controversies and great sporting moments, there's so much to look forward to in 2022.
And that was our sports report. We have in the building the sportsman, Samson Oloyede, to tell us more about 2021 in retrospect. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy
Good
New Year.
morning.
It's a pleasure
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a new year.
Definitely a new year.
And what a way to start the year with sports, some sports updates.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to look at the year 2021 in retrospect
Yes.
to project what we should have in 2022, and it promises to be exciting and intriguing as always.
All right, so looking at the year in review, even amid a lingering global pandemic, sports went on and even returned to some form of normalcy in 2021. From stellar individual achievements to exceptional team accomplishments, 2021 had plenty of notable sports moments. And yes, what were the most notable sports moments nationally now for you?
Well, nationally, you probably have to start from, qualifying for the African Cup of Nations with ease. Gone were the days where we had to permutate and bring out our calculators just to predict if the Super Eagles will qualify for the African Cup of Nations. So in terms of the national team, that was the highlight. But it wasn't so pleasant because male and female football team did not qualify for the Olympic Games, which took place this year. So that was a downside. Then you look at the team itself, in terms of progress, under General, the team faltered. There was a decline, and that led to his dismissal. So nationally, our football did not really progress as much as we would have expected. But there's so much to look forward to going into 2022 because the domestic league, the Nigerian Professional Football League, after 4 or 5 years now has a sponsor. In fact, 2 sponsors, an alcoholic company as well as a betting company. So it tells you that in terms of domestic affairs, the league administratively were on the right path. Definitely the LMC, that's the league management company, can do better, and they still have more work to do, but it's a step in the right direction.
So would you say that slow progress we made in 2021 was as a result of some wrangling in the NFF earlier in the year?
Possibly, but it's not just about the internal strife within the Nigerian Football Federation. You would also look at the effect of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, on every sector. It's affected the world globally. Then you also look at even pre-COVID, there were still issues with getting sponsors for the league, for example. That's the Nigerian Professional Football League. And when it comes to national teams, it's always like the focus is just on Super Eagles, while other age grade teams like your under 23, which is the team that plays at the Olympics, or your under 20, under 17, they're all neglected. So the Nigerian Football Federation has to do better in ensuring that there's a sort of balance in terms of concentration to every national team, not just the Super Eagles now.
Okay, so away from football, let's talk about other sports. The highlight for you in 2021?
Well, quite a handful. I'll start with motorsports. The biggest motorsports, would be Formula One, and for Formula One, it was quite controversial. It was intriguing because Max Verstappen peeped Lewis Hamilton to the world title at the last Grand Prix of the season, and also at the last lap of the Grand Prix. So there were a bit of controversies regards the safety car deployment and how the race was restarted by the race director Michael Massey, and it denied Lewis Hamilton a record 8th world title. So it was intriguing for most Formula One lovers. You also look at the world of boxing. We've had several brilliant bouts in the year, talking about 2021. Perhaps the biggest will be Tyson Fury's win over Deontay Wilder. It was a heavyweight classic. That's the way you can put it. 5 knockdowns, I beg your pardon. 2 to Wilder, 3 to Fury, and it ended in the 11th round. You could also make claims for Saul Canelo Alvarez's win over Caleb Plant, because it was historic. It became the first unified super middleweight champion in the history of boxing. So many sporting moments when it comes to so many highlights rather when it comes to boxing. You also want to look at tennis. Novak Djokovic had a...
Just before you move to tennis,
yeah?
I mean, what would you say about Anthony Joshua in 2021? Because a whole lot, because of, I mean, he's from here, he's our own who can be sentimental about it, and, following from here, and the fact that it's of Nigerian blood.
Yes, that's also one of the highlights, because it was an upset loss. It was an upset win rather for Alexander Usyk, who was just fighting in his third bout at the heavyweight division, and he was able to put up a boxing masterclass to get the better of Anthony Joshua. It was a well-deserved loss for Joshua. It just didn't match up to the pace as well as the boxing tactics.
Wonder what happened really, because I mean, prior to that match,
everyone felt
exactly that he was going to give it his best.
He tried out boxing a boxer, and you don't do that if you're not a boxer. The boxing is technical. It's not just about the punches and all we see. There are several nuances to it. If you are not a boxer, pure boxer, you cannot beat someone who is like that, and that explains why someone like a Floyd Mayweather will not lose in a bout, because he boxes, for him, it's the mindset of hit and don't get hit. He boxes on the outside, he knows how to counter punch and all of that. For Joshua, he's more of a fighter. Now, I understand that can be confusing when you say, oh, someone is a fighter, someone is a boxer. When you're a boxer, you're like the Muhammad Ali kind of boxer. You're more of the technical aspects. You punch, you don't get punched. You have, the ability to fight on the inside, on the outside, slick footwork, coming from angles and all of that. It's a whole lot. And then there's the mental aspect to it. But when you're a fighter, you're like a Deontay Wilder. You rely more on the power. You're just slugging it. It's called a puncher's luck. Like one punch would hit someone and then the person goes out. That's the kind of person Joshua is. Boxers are your Tyson Fury, your Alexander Usyk. I mentioned the now retired Floyd Mayweather. You also have Vasyl Lomachenko. Those are boxers. So Canelo Alvarez is also in that mix. You have Errol Spence Jr.
Hopefully, we'll be able to check his style in 2022.
Well, there's a rematch. Yes. Let's hope. My concern is if he comes up with that game plan, he will get beaten again. You can't outbox a boxer. It's just a simple knowledge in boxing. So he needs to try rough him up. lean on him, you know, everything he needs to do to just get physical, wear him down. And over 12 rounds, we saw Usyk really put up the pace in terms of energy, stamina. He kept up with the fleet work. He was not at his spot. So it's difficult to hit a moving target. But when you're flat-footed, like Joshua was,
a change of coach.
Exactly. And that's we saw that, you know, towards the end of the year when he toured the United States, went to several gyms, met with a handful of boxing coaches. I'm sure he's trying to add 1 or 2 coaches to his coaching team, and you know, let's see how it comes up. But it's skeptical, you know. You never can tell. It's the heavyweight division. One punch can change everything. You can be down on the cards, and at the very last second, just one punch gets you the win. So definitely, he still has a chance. But when it comes to the nuances of boxing, you want to reckon with Alexander Usyk in that regard. Okay, finally, just before we wrap up this segment, let's look at how COVID-19, the pandemic, is affecting the sports right now. Yes, it is. I mean, the Omicron variant isn't even helping matters. So there's a resurgence in terms of outbreak in various sports. In the Premier League, which is football, for example, we've seen several matches postponed. Over 200, cases have been reported positive within various clubs, and it's not limited to players, even staff. So it shows you that clubs are struggling to contain the virus at this point in time. Now, if you move over from there to boxing, even the Fury Wilder trilogy, the third bout, it had to be postponed because Fury tested positive for COVID in July, before the so. Several sports are right now struggling to contain the Omicron variant, and we've seen that also in terms of basketball. Several games have been postponed as players are entering the NBA's health and safety protocol, just trying to ensure that as much as you are giving the fans what they want in terms of sports, you are also staying safe with your family. And I think that's a priority at this point in time.
Well, we're going to let you go, but we need to talk about the money aspect.
Yes, definitely.
On the global scene, sports is big business.
It's big business.
Now, but here, I mean, you talk about the fact that Nigeria got 2 sponsors.
2 sponsors for the league, yes.
Alcoholic company, and then, of course, the betting company as well. Yes. But then how well are we maximizing? Because beyond some of these 1 or 2 sponsors that you get once in a while, seasonal, how are we trying to maximize? This is a new year, and we should be talking about how to make money from our sport here.
Well, it's difficult to market a good that is not entirely marketable. I'm sure you understand what I mean. When you want to market, the Premier League, brings in over $7 billion, or pounds rather, over £7 billion in terms of TV rights and all of that. When you juxtapose, I mean, it's too far, but when you juxtapose that with the Nigerian Premier League, you realize that the differences in administration and how the game itself, the league itself, is run, it's just it's just too wide a gulf for you to even compare. Now we still have issues with security concerns at the stadium or at the stadiums, so not so many fans are enthusiastic about going to the stadium because of safety issues. It's better now, no doubt about it. We do not get to hear as often as we used to that maybe players were beaten or referees were beaten because the home team lost, and all of that. That's one. Two, oftentimes because of the apathy to the local league in some areas, the gates have to be thrown open for the stadium to be filled in and, come support the team. We're not charging fees. Ideally, clubs are meant to charge.
So you are saying that we need to address the problem administratively.
Exactly, that's the thing. Administratively, we need to put certain things in place to make it marketable. There's the issue of security. More security personnel need to be deployed to stadia during match days. You also have to look at the issue of how clubs are run. Are clubs being run professionally? The question is no. Perhaps the only big response now to that will be Remo Stars, who have their own stadium, I beg your pardon, at Ikene, and are doing quite well. Now, beyond that, there's also the place of the aesthetics. The aesthetics is how the league feels on the TV screen. People watch. Your pay-per-view, your pay TV and all that, people watch. The state of our pitches is nothing to write home about. Most of our stadia. You look at it, it looks more like a potato plantation or something, you know, a potato farm rather than a football pitch. So those little
there are
details,
many challenges that we need to
you don't
deal
want to watch football rather than see a lush green pitch. You are seeing sand, brown these heaps,
Oh,
you know,
yes,
you know,
Oh,
you know. So, and those are things that won't make those things. They look minute in details, but they don't make the league
but they're very
marketable
important.
because you don't want to sit on TV screen and watch. I'm sure if you're watching, you probably tune after 5 minutes like, what's that?
Well, I think we need to leave that at the door of NFL president and you know his
The league management company, really, they're the ones running the league.
Yes.
The league management company, and that's headed by the vice president, the first vice president, Shehu Diko. So they need to do better. Again, it's good that they have sponsors now, although the financial details were not disclosed to the public.
Not yet.
But I hope it's a new dawn, because in previous instances, what we've had is sponsor by the face or on paper and nothing to show forth. But now there are reports that at least one of those deals should be up to 250, 300 million. No one knows. It was really guarded in terms of the financial details. But we need sponsorships up to 2-3 billion naira to run the league at least to some point. Right now, we do not have sponsors up to even 500 million, according to what I heard from both sponsors. So we need more sponsors.
It's really a pathetic, you know, situation.
It's pathetic
in the Nigerian sport.
When it comes to
we
the
need
league, especially. When it comes to league, especially.
A league, okay. We need to leave it there. Thank you so much, Samson Oloyede.
Thank you for having me.
Sport anchor analyst. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
2021 was an interesting moment or year, especially for folks in the entertainment industry. Well, here is Michelle Abanon with the entertainment review.
2021 has indeed been an exceptional year for one of the unarguably biggest music stars from Africa. Nigerian superstar Wizkid made history as the most awarded African act in history after winning the Best International Act and Best African Act awards. Already sweeping the end of the year awards with Apple and Spotify, Wrapped being a few of the awards that have recognized his excellence in the closing year so far. The Music Chrono bagged 5 awards in the just concluded 7th edition of the annual African Entertainment Awards USA. Wizkid tops the top 10 best musicians in Nigeria in 2021 with a total of 65 awards. The Afrobeats Chrono capped an impressive year with a 3-day sold-out concert of 20,000 capacity at the London O2 Arena, raking in a record of 5.2 billion naira in gross earnings. Scandals and controversies involving celebrities are inevitable in the entertainment scene. They are among what keeps the industry buzzing and interesting to the fans. The outgoing year has been a dramatic one in the entertainment industry, from marital crisis to allegations of sexual assault to the release of sex tapes. The year was almost full of scandals. Tiwa Savage, the music star, shocked many in October when she revealed a plot by some people trying to blackmail her using her sex tape. For Tiwa, it was a major blow. At the time, somebody saw her hit track with Brandy, the US singer, had just started gaining momentum globally. The song eventually made massive numbers on top streaming platforms with over 5 million views on YouTube. While so many assumed the sex tape is bait to promote her body of work, Water and Gary, making her lose multi-million naira endorsement deals, the decisions to revoke contracts by brands and organizations like Cadbury, Globacom Limited and Pampers dissuades the public's assumptions. Contesting the popular saying that there is no bad publicity in entertainment, it's evident that some publicity can be a wrong business move. However, it was a great move for popular singer David Adeleke, aka Davido, as he amused many when he went on social media to ask his friends and colleagues in the industry to give him 1 million naira to clear his Rolls Royce from the seaport ahead of his 29th birthday. He then posted his Wema Bank account numbers where he wanted the donations channeled. Just hours after he appealed, the singer was bombarded with money transfers from people from different walks of life, including kings, artists, politicians, and fans. Within the space of 3 days, the singer had raised 201 million naira. He then shocked many when he announced that he would add 50 million naira to the money and donate 251 million naira to orphanages across Nigeria. He went on to form a committee that would iron out the modalities for the transfer of the funds to the intended recipients. According to him, only government-registered orphanages would benefit from it. The singer was roundly commended for his kind gesture, an endorsement deal from Wema Bank, and he was also interviewed on an American news channel, Cable News Network.
2021 has been an exceptional year in the entertainment industry. So many highs and lows. Surprisingly, or would I say interestingly, as the report said, the industry has experienced a massive growth. Welcome to the Entertainment Corner. I am Michelle Abanom, and to banter with me on this show is one of Nollywood's favorites. He's an actor, a director, and he is Gaji Samuel, aka Officer of the Law, aka Muha, aka Money is looking for me left and right, aka if you see me asking for money.
Stop now. Why is it that you always like touching the number 6 in my numbers? I don't like it.
I shouldn't expose you.
Don't expose me, please.
Okay,
I'm a very humble
we'll keep
person.
it low. We'll keep your
Thank
profile
you.
low.
Please, thank you.
So let me be the first to officially wish you a happy new year. I mean, it feels so good actually saying 2022 out loud, and we're actually.
This is my new you. Is it my new you?
Please
or my
don't get started with all of those.
Okay.
New year, new you. Anyway, so how has 2021 been for you as a person and as a film director?
Actually, 2021 has been a wonderful year for me as a film director, as an actor, as a comedian, as a content provider. In fact, it was a wonderful year. You know, we did not hype 2021 like the way we hyped 2020. So everybody was respecting themselves. Especially me, I was moving on a very slow temperature. So it came in a very nice way for me. I love the whole news, the whole gist in the industry. Everything was on point. So let's don't loud 2022, please.
People are already louding it, funny enough. People are louding it.
Don't loud it. Let's make you see the way I dress. Have you ever seen me dressing? This is the way I want to be dressing this year.
And you look good.
Stop it.
Okay, so what was one of the achievements, I mean for you now, one achievement you had and it was a very great one in 2021? Too much pride. Don't look at my hand. It's embarrassing me. Just leave me out of this.
I don't like to show it. But the way I've been talking to people, I don't know how to use left hand.
Yeah, those ones I to keep your. These are used to your hand.
Yes, this is how I do my hand. So when you're talking to me now, as I know you're a fine girl. So as I'm like, you understand? So my achievement. One of my achievements.
As long as you didn't do your wedding in Ikoyi, please, let's go into the into the main focus of the day.
Okay.
Okay. So, what event? I mean, a lot of things happened in 2021. Okay. What event in the entertainment industry really stood out for you, and an event that actually shook the industry?
The event. If you ask that, I will actually choose myself. I'll actually go and my wedding.
It's okay. I'm talking of. Let's leave you out of this. So let's talk about other people.
Okay, other people. A lot happened though. A lot. Like a lot happened in 2021. But the one that stood outstanding for me is probably I would say Davido's. How would I put it now? The funds, his birthday gifts that he received. I think that was what stood out for me because in less than 24 hours, my guy they counts 200 and I was asking myself like, please, this is more than MMM. This is more than, this is, please show me the way. And I actually tried that, but actually it worked for me, but my own did not even enter up to 500K.
I feel your pain. See, in this
that means I'm more important.
You have removed the
No, that means I am not touching people's life very well. Because actually, what the video is a kind of person that you will come in contact with. Definitely, you see that he has this giving spirit. Yeah. So I feel that was what actually worked for him. Because a lot of actors, when they were actually sending the money and all the celebrities sending the money, they were like saying, my short guy, you don't do one for us, we go do one bad for you. So, but bank guys closed their account too.
Yeah.
They had to close their account because they were like, these people will come and. But that was it for me, Sha.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, it also speaks a lot about the kind of friends you keep, and that's why this year, now only strategic friends are going to keep this year.
Are you saying that the friends that I have now, they don't?
I don't know
But that
about your
is true.
friends, though.
That is
I don't know
true.
about your friends, but if I cut you off this new year, just know that you are not.
And I was even thinking the day that I wanted to block you. But you see, now that they have already said it, no problem. No problem. We cut it.
Okay, now let's talk about the report. I mean, the entertainment report that just played. Do you agree that 2021 was really an exceptional year for Wizkid?
Yes.
Why do you think so?
Growing up, they normally tell us that our parents, or I would say people that we look up to, they want to tell us that we have to grow. We should not remain in the same spot. They say the only thing that is constant is change. Yeah. So for me, I feel change is positively. You don't do negative vibe or anything. But for Wizkid actually, he moved from another realm in his life, in his entertainment life, because during the event in what do you call it? Is it O2 that they had in London?
That was a massive event. I mean, it sold out in 3 days. And you know the funny thing, the capacity of the O2 Arena is about 20,000.
Yes.
And now considering the amount he sold his tickets for, I think he made up to 5.7 billion.
Yes.
That was really massive.
The funniest part of it is this guy was so simple, like see if he didn't make any money. Because
I want to be doing this new year.
Yeah.
I want to be doing this new year. I'll not be showing the money that I'm making.
Yeah. So that's how you want to be doing. So it will be nice for you. You just go to just start from Lagos here, or start from Nigeria, your country, before you go outside the country.
Okay,
and funny enough, it was foreign currency.
Yeah.
That billion you mentioned was in foreign currency. I don't know whether you get.
Yeah.
I came in contact with a video that after the show, and I saw him. He was actually prostrating for people, his elders, and thank you so much for the love. No.
I also feel like his attitude towards his management has actually gone a very long way in shaping
that is one
his
thing.
career.
Yes.
Now, consider someone like Portable that, I mean, he recently just came to the limelight and he's already having issues with his management. And then check out our Wizkid that just got his manager a brand new car.
A lion can never be like a other thing. Let me don't go deep so that they will not hold me responsible for what I said. I did not say.
Yes,
so Wizkid is actually exposed. I won't say educated. I won't say, but I'm only trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you are comparing him with over the time, I feel Portable will actually understand the game.
Yeah.
But for Wizkid, no. And he has told us that we should be expecting more this year.
And all of the awards he packed.
I'm packing an award this year.
Amen. I'll be there.
I love helping people. I'm not a proud person. See, this year, this 2022, I'm going to help a lot of people.
So much bragging.
See, in my
cupboard, like
Wizkid, I'm helping him this year. I'm going to help Wizkid. I'm going to be a pro. Do you see the way I dress? The only thing that remains is just the.
Interesting. Okay, so let's even talk about, I mean, it was an exceptional year for some people, but now the one that really trended
was
Tiwa Savage.
Oh my God.
Let's not complete it too much, but you know what I'm talking about.
You know that when something is to happen in this life, there are some people you don't supposed to come and explain something.
Oh yeah, on a more serious note, do you feel like her PR would have done a better job in handling the whole matter? Because I mean, she lost a lot of endorsement deals, like
a lot of endorsement.
Yes. So do you feel like
I did not know what happened to her?
God, you receive it. I thought
you don't know when you come. You don't know that I told you I'm a comedian before. So that when they will meet me and say you say something like this, I will say it's not my real voice. It was not my real voice that I used to say it. Wait. So that I was under the influence of something.
Let's be serious. Yeah.
Who is not serious before?
Say it with your real voice. You feel
So that
happy.
tomorrow they will not prosecute me and tell me say that I'm the one that said something.
I see my serious face now.
Oh my God, your serious face is nice.
Oh yes, so be serious.
Okay.
Do you feel like her PR would have handled the situation better?
All these television people will not call somebody to say something I don't want to say. But I will say it. Anyway, whether it is positive or negative, the truth about it is the PR did something. And what he did, sometimes I used to tell our celebrities that when you want to do a PR, you should consider it. How will it affect me? But that was not a good one. Show your here. It was not a good one. Yes. No. Come on, look at it now. Look at your screen and see it. Oh, no. I was not there. Yes.
Okay, so I feel like her PR, since you know answer it directly.
She's the one that want to say it.
Huh?
So you will hold her responsible tomorrow. Do not say that this is the presenter that brought me in to come and say it. I'm not the one. It is her. Please hold her.
Hold me. I feel like her PR would have handled it, I mean, in a better way. I don't know if you recall.
In what better way?
I don't know if you recall Kim Kardashian when her tape was released. You know the kind of tape I'm talking about. When her tape was released. I mean, first of all, it was the start of a new career for her.
Yes.
And that's because they went about apologizing.
One thing that is paining me in this country is that we like to do copy. We like to do. Maybe that is why she too went to go and do it.
You are beginning to say what's in your mind.
That is why I'm using a different voice. So that when they hold me tomorrow out there, my lawyer, it is not what I said. But actually, we like to copy. And now, she came out to apologize. And she sang with this song. She said the video no go leak.
I saying that one, no. Me, I don't know that one. You're the one saying it with your fake voice.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's been a roller coaster of events in the industry. So this is where we would wrap up the conversation.
Yes, that is it. You see, that's what I'm saying now. You see, she has my viewers, you see, she has already said what she wants to say. So, we are wrapping up now.
I'm wrapping up. But before I wrap up, I mean, it was really an exceptional year, but we had our own down moments too, as we lost some icons in the industry. Speaking of Sound Sultan, Baba Suwe, Rachel Oniga, Caribbean Fubara, Jim Lawson, Ernest Azuzu, Victor Lawton, Joshua Johnson, Sam Obiago, and I feel like these are just few compared to the very long list.
Yeah.
It was really a sad
For
moment.
me, Sound Sultan was the way it happened. A lot. It was that was the dark side for us actually. We musicians, we actually missed him a lot. We missed him a lot.
And another one that was really very touching was Rachel Oniga. And watching...
I was on the set with her actually.
Wow.
To be sincere with you. But actually, along the line, she was not feeling too well, too good. That's why at the same time, as much as we pray, as much as we we believe in God, it's good for us to actually go for medical checkup. Not just, there's a name they call it in medical terms. There's a name they call it, I can't really remember, but it's a 98% of your body check. They check everything from the head to your toe. So I can't really remember the name. So please, my people at home, no matter what, no matter how little it is, that money that you don't want to spend, that money that you feel that you don't want to spend, when it comes, you could spend that more. But let's try our best and see. This new year, I don't pray for us to actually have those dark side anymore. Please, it's going to be a sweet year for us. This 2022, and my co-presenter, and let me use that word because now I'm helping her future. She'll be married this year.
Amen.
Yeah. I said it in my real voice. She'll be married this year. I will help her. I'll give her like 6. I'll help her. I'll help you.
Before you embarrass me in public.
Yeah, I'm going to help you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
And I do wish you a fabulous 2022. Thank you
You didn't
very
ask me
much.
what are my plans for this year.
Maybe you have to keep that your plans. So, oh yeah, what are your plans?
Okay, my plans this year is actually going to be very, very elaborate. I'll be traveling a lot this year, international, local, and actually.
Can I wrap up this show, please? You tell us your plans. They'll post it on social media. You tell us your plans. You communicate. Send your list.
I'm not proud.
Because it's looking like a very long list.
I'm not proud. Continue. I'm not proud.
So guys, we've come to the end of the entertainment corner. I had fun and I do wish you an amazing 2022. Do remember to write down your goals and plans, like Gaji Samo, if you like, for the year, and do well to achieve them. That's all we can take on the show.
Yeah.
I am Shela Bano.
And I'm Gaji Samuel. Thank you. I love you so much. Keep supporting my brand. I will help your future. I will never put your foot down. 2022 is our year.
It's bye for now.
Sign out. Sign out. I just sign out.
I must say that the entertainment link-up was really interesting. That was a very good one. The comedian got me laughing, really.
Well, what would I say? It's good to start on a laughter note.
Definitely.
Number 2022. Start. Okay, can I do my own like ho 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 ho?
Okay. I'll stop laughing. All right.
That was an interesting one.
Definitely. Well, we have the New Year resolutions. I mean, what is a new year without New Year resolutions? I'm just wondering, is there a new year without New Year resolutions?
Well, the thing is that the culture really, or what has been the norm, is that from the beginning of the year, everyone goes back to perhaps what you call a drawing board, drop some what you would do, what we won't do. Maybe you reflect on your lifestyle the previous year, what you did badly and what you didn't do, and then you start, okay, this year I smoked last year, I'm not going to do that.
You
again.
did?
Or maybe you say, come on.
You didn't get it.
Stop playing that joke. So anyway, someone will say, okay, I think, I didn't do well in this area last year. I think I'm going to do that now. But oftentimes, they do not really execute those things that they come. But really, I think it's about being disciplined when it comes to, drawing up your New Year resolution. For me, personally, it's about discipline.
I think I like that. It's about discipline. There are times when people start from January till March, and by March they've forgotten. They are back to status quo. Anyway, we have a report here on New Year resolutions, so let's take a listen.
One way many end the year and begin another is to make a resolution for the next year. New Year resolution over the years has become popular, especially in Nigeria. While some believe in it and try to keep their resolution for the year, others don't. iBrand News crew were on the streets of Lagos to find out what people think about New Year resolutions.
My own New Year resolution, everybody has their own this thing. So my own is that my whole New Year resolution is to aim higher, achieve a lot of things. That's my own.
I have a New Year resolution, which I ask God to protect me to enter the 2022 that's coming in a short period now. I say God to preserve my life, that I like to serve Him with all my heart. Let Him just keep me away from sin.
People keep saying I'll do this, I'll do that, New Year, but they keep going back to the same thing when the year comes. So for me, it's not about what you say you want to do in the new year. It's about what you are doing in that new year. So saying it is not enough. It's all about doing what you have said. I've done that in the past, but it doesn't work for me. Then when I get to that year, I find myself doing a different thing. So for me, that's why I said it doesn't work for me.
A lot of people don't have self-discipline. You are just making a resolution that will not work. But when you are self-disciplined, the New Year resolution will flow. There are many people who take who decide on doing one thing or the other, or not doing this or not doing that. So the best thing is, once you have self-discipline, your New Year resolution can work well.
Do you believe in New Year resolutions? What is your resolution for the year? I, Boji Warrior, reporting.
Oh, that was a nice one. I think I have a New Year resolution, but I'm not sharing.
Oh, you have one.
I'm not sharing.
You don't share. Okay, I'm not asking you to share it with me. But then again, I mean, whatever it is you have out there, whatever it is you have going, but ensure that you get, I mean, you're disciplined, you're focused, you know, be smart about your goal, and be strategic about it. So it's not just about planning, it's not just about resolving within yourself, oh, I'm not going to do this again, okay, I'm going to do this, and at the end of the day, you don't get to meet those targets of yours. So I think it's better to, you know, to be intentional. So I think that's the word, being intentional about
Okay,
your goals.
talking about that, I think for me, SMART goals, you already mentioned that that's very, very important. And apart from that, one thing that helps is when you have an accountability partner, it kind of helps you, especially if this person is someone who's close to you. So you have an accountability partner, or you have friends who you guys, you know, you have almost the same goals, visions, and all of that. When you share with them, it's always good to keep each other, you know. So, I mean, if I'm going away from what I thought I wanted to do, you would tell me, Perpetua, remember this and all of that. So accountability partner, having that is also very, very good. Well, we've been having wonderful and beautiful conversations all about 2021 in retrospect, and I think it's a good one. We ended it with the New Year resolution. So if you have a New Year resolution, it's my hope that you will keep it. Don't forget, even if you forget or you fail, come on, that shouldn't stop you. Keep at it, keep fighting, you'll get it.
Well, from all of us at iBrandTV, well, thank you so much, and have a very, very prosperous New Year.
Happy New Year! I like to say it the local way. My name is Perpetua Fasami Peter. Bye for now.
And I am Franco Malape. Bye-bye for now.